Yo, what is good? What is bracking? It is your boy, the DJC, aka the Don Juan Carlos. We're here for some more Destiny 2 content. You know what's up? How's it going? How you doing? Today we're gonna do something very different, similar to some of my old videos. It's gonna be kind of like a podcast thingamajiggy. So we're just gonna jump right into it and talk about the topic that I want to bring up today, which is why Destiny 2's ranked game mode or comp should be worked to a proper ranked game mode. So, if you don't know anything about Destiny 2, there is actually a rank esque game mode for PvP. It's the comp playlist, and the comp playlist it's alright, but it's not really there's not really a reason to ever play it outside of getting maybe your ritual weapons like the Recluse or Mountaintop or freaking Lunatau. But other than that, there is like no reason to ever play comp, the comp playlist in that game mode. It's filled with sweat lords, filled with all kinds of shenanigans. But and it's really funny. And what's funny is that the comp game mode, even though there isn't a reason to play this, it is a lot more fun than playing a 6v6 game mode like cough cough Iron Banner. But that's for a different topic today. But I really wanted to go over what it would look like if rank got a complete if comp, I should be specific, comp got a full rework so that it's something similar to a rank system in other FPS games. So we're talking about like ranked Siege, ranked freaking COD. I don't know if COD. Well, I know it does have a rank mode because I know Black Ops 2 did because I played a little bit of that. But like all your FPSs, Valorant, of course, Overwatch. Yeah, you got your rank game mode, and it's really this video is gonna be like I said earlier, podcast esque. There's gonna be different segments that we go on through this, and it's just really to just open up a conversation and just imagine what it would be like if we actually got a game or a game mode that is actually worth playing, like a competitive ranked game mode that's worth playing and you get rewarded for it. So let's just jump right into it. So first thing I wanted to talk about is the game mode. So if we had a ranked game mode, what would that actually look like? So right now in Destiny, the comp game mode just got it got shifted because it used to be you'd have to run into a bunch of different game modes. So you would run into survival, team deathmatch. I think Elims was in there at one point in time, and Lockdown was in there. Lockdown was also in there. I remember that vividly. But as of right now, the main game mode in comp or competitive Destiny 2 is just survival, and survival's bad. I don't care what anyone says. Survival is a terrible game mode. It is so bad because survival. If you don't know, or if you've never played survival before, survival is basically it's team deathmatch, but you have lives. So you got four live reserves, and then once your reserves are out, if you get defeated or eliminated again, you don't respawn for the rest of the round. Which in theory, on paper, that sounds cool, but the game mode is not really that good because there's not really a strat to survival. You kind of just run around and get a bunch of kills. So it's just like team deathmatch, except you don't get to respawn. And a lot of times you can be doing well, but if your teammate that you're playing with is feeding and they waste all your lives, and someone that might have been on a streak or something, if you die for the first time and you don't get to respawn, the round is basically over. It's like it's such a pain. It's such a pain because you can never predict if you're ever gonna respawn unless you have reserves. But even if you reserves and you spawn in and you die immediately, you there's two lives that got taken off your reserves. You can't really. I mean, there is comeback potential sometimes, but the momentum, specifically momentum in that game, is really hard to get back once you lose it. Especially since if the enemy team wins 2 or 3 rounds. By the way, it only takes 4 rounds to you need to get to four first in order to win. if your team loses 2, 3 rounds, the amount of momentum the enemy team has with supers is insanity. Like they can just literally they can if they win the first 2 rounds, someone gets a super. Then the third rounds, someone can use their super, wipe your team, and then they produce enough orbs for another person to get a super, and then the first round is basically just like guaranteed death. Survival is just it's just not great. Like I said, it's just not great. I don't find it interesting because there's not really mechanics that you can use. It's kind of like you win the fight or you lose the game. That's literally all survival is. You win the fight or you lose the game. And in other game modes, which I want to talk about, like what if these certain game modes were actually in place instead of survival? It could definitely change the game. So the first one I want to talk about is Elims. Now Elims is a 3v3 game mode where if you die, you can actually get respawn, and it's like elimination. So you gotta completely wipe the entire enemy team in order to win the round. And everybody gets 1 lives. You can revive as much as you want. You revive the ghost as much as you want, but you get one. You get one. Now, why I think Elims is a superior game mode is because there's actually a strategy to Elims. Like if you can catch somebody off guard and get their ghost, and like control the space around their ghost, like that person is dead. Like it again, and it's very possible to still fight people in that game. But if someone gets caught off guard or they're not paying attention and they get their ghost dropped, you can ghost camp. You can do all there's different strategies that you can predict, and you can actually learn. I think Elims is a better way to like how should I put this? It's a game mode which it's much easier to adapt in because you actually have to think about every interaction and every move that you get. Like in survival per se, you kind of just sit there and just fight, and you can kind of just turn your brain off and you just fight a bunch of times. Which I mean, it's cool, but if you want to go do that, why don't isn't it better just to play like Clash or something? Because in Clash, you just fight people all day. Or even Rumble, it's 8 people and you just fight all day. So Elims really takes some brain power. Because if you start to learn like whatever moves your opponent uses or whatever like tactics they have, you can start to adjust those games, adjust your team's move set in order to counter that or try and fight back even if you're losing. Like the thing about Elims is like even if a team gets an early lead, you can always fight back. There is never a time that you can't fight back in Elims versus in survival. You're kind of just like if you get steamrolled, you get steamrolled. It's so hard to get momentum back, especially if you get 4-0'd like multiple times. Like I'll tell you, I played comp with a couple boys from the clan, and we were just memeing. Honestly, we were trying to grind out our quest for Luna's How, so we weren't really using our normal loadouts. But we went up against the team maybe 3 or 4 times, and we 4-0'd them twice, and then 4-3'd them the last round. Like if you constantly keep facing that, like especially with how much momentum like that we kept building from those games, you would get tilted, honestly. Versus in Elims, like yeah, you'll get tilted if you get 4-0'd once, but you have the opportunity to like actually, if you face that team again, you kind of know what they're gonna do every time. You can kind of adjust to like, well, these guys play sort of aggressive, so maybe we need to stay back with snipers and try and pick them off. Or maybe you get they play very far back, so we gotta sneak around and flank them to catch them off guard. There's more. It requires more brain power than just running around and just getting kills. And the only concern with that, if there was a rank mode, and they changed comp completely, the only concern about that is like, well, Trials is the premier competitive game mode, and it's also Elims. So like you might be considered like, well, why play trials if I could just play ranked elims and get more rewards and not have to worry about doing not have to worry about getting a flawless run or a ticket. It doesn't matter if I lose. And I can get that concern, but I still, even if both the game modes themselves are the same, it still have a very different vibe. Trials, even though I haven't been able to play a whole lot of it, Trials is like you have to be kinged in. Versus like a ranked match, you're kind of like, I'll play some ranked today, I guess. It's like I care, but not as much if I lose, but I still want to win. It's two very different, you know, very different mindsets. But I understand that, but that's why I have a secondary game mode that would actually uh, be interesting to have back. Actually, which would be freaking Lockdown. So Lockdown, if you don't know, it's a game mode where it's the kind of like bomb in Rainbow Six Siege where you go around. There's two sites that you can plant. You plant the well, you basically plant down a timer for a machine to explode, and then you have to defend it from the defense, or if you're on defense, you have to prevent the attackers from planting the bomb. And if they plant it, you have to defeat the attackers in order for the bomb to defuse. And instead, that would actually change. I would actually change it from 3v3 to 4v4, like it used to be. Like original vanilla D2 used to be 4v4s, which honestly is a much better game mode than freaking 6v6. It's so again, that's another conversation for another time. But 6v6 is really bad. But even with Lockdown, right? Lockdown is a completely different game mode. You might like I've talked to one of my friends, and they're like, "Well, what's the point of ever even playing Lockdown? It's not really a Destiny 2 isn't really a tactical game. Like, so why would you play it?" I still think even if it's not like completely tactical, Lockdown is a better game mode than survival. Because again, ranked, like if you have ranked, it should really be you should really be considering like what builds you're running, what like what kind of impact you want to have on the game. Like there has to be like some sort of stratagem to the game instead of just running around and seeing who could kill people more. Because like having Lockdown, me personally, Lockdown is one of my favorite game modes because, like I said, I've played a lot of Siege, and planning the bomb, planning a bomb and having to defend it, or defending the attackers from getting to a bomb is a lot more interesting than survival. And I would honestly, the game mode would need a slight tuning, I would say, in order to make it even better and more viable. But where it stands right now, like having running around and trying to get a plant off, or and like having to defend yourself, like working on your positioning, like knowing what kind of like where you'd have to plant in order to defend correctly or hold power positions. Like you would need to learn maps in order to like actually be able to do that, which is so much fun. Like learning maps, learning what to do. That's a lot more fun than just running around like, hey, I can just peek this area and nobody can fight me. Here you go, get deleted. That's a lot more interesting than just any. That's a lot more interesting than again survival, which is saying something. So one of the things I would change for Lockdown is instead of making it, first of all, Lockdown also has the opportunity to bring back some of the OG big maps. Like if we talk about like OG maps, I'm talking specifically like Emperor's Respite. Emperor's Respite is probably one of the prettiest maps in the video game. And I know you'll be like, well, DJ, I understand that map is beautiful, but what does that have to do with comp or anything? That map is made specifically for competitive modes. It's massive. You can run Rumble on that map and still feel like you have a lot of space. Like there's a difference between like, cause some maps, like even Dead Cliffs, with 6 people, with 12 people on Dead Cliffs, it's kind of a mess. With 6 people, it's manageable. Like 3 people on each team is a lot manageable. With 8 people on Dead Cliffs, I still think that's more manageable than having like 6 people just running around trying to delete you constantly. And you can, and even on And on Emperor's Respite specifically, you can fluctuate that even more. The maps like those are open wide. You can actually learn power positions and actually learn like different angles that you can defend from. And maps like those are made for the lockdown game mode. And you really get to flex your knowledge and really get to experience the power of lockdown in those kind of maps, which you don't get an opportunity to really do ever because it's not a main game mode. So it's really just an opportunity to, because some people have never experienced that map, which I'm I'm not surprised, especially if you came after during year two. There was no way you'd ever know that that map existed unless you ran into a custom game. But it is a fantabulous map. But that again, that's a reason why if Lockdown was if Ranked had like Lockdown as a proper game mode, you get to experience like those kind of maps. And like alongside with that, one of the things that you can redo that I would suggest that you redo with like Ranked in general is, especially on maps that are smaller like Dead Cliffs or even Javelin, you can have it so that there's only one bomb site on the map at a time, and then you can just rotate per round like what sites you'd want to have the bomb sites on. And that would work. That would make it so smaller maps are viable, and you can have different strats for different for different bomb sites. And of course, of having a person that carries the diffuser or the planner to actually get it off instead of having all four teammates able to plant the bomb. Because then you add lockdown and you add having the ability that you have to carry the diffuser and you have to plant it. That means that you can't uh just get away with stuff like, of course, like that might be too tactical, but I'd rather have one person hold the diffuser so that that's another mechanic you have to play around. You have to manage who has the diffuser. You have to manage your timing. If someone drops it, a person on the other side of the map can't just plant the diffuser, because even if they do, they're gonna lose anyway because it's a 1v4 or 1v3, and they still have they can still plant, which is still, to me, in my opinion, it's just silly that you're able to do that. But whatever. But again, that's just having elims or just having freaking lockdown would be a whole lot more fun and a whole lot more interesting as a game mode than just having elims all the time. So that's just my opinion on like from like the base. The straight up just changing the game mode would really make a difference, honestly. But not even change the game mode. Elims is trash, and if they want to have a proper rank mode that's really competitive, that's not just like team deathmatch but worse, just change the game mode. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is actually going to be ranks in the video game. So of course, every time you talk about ranked, you gotta have a ranked game, ranks, to make sure you know what progress you have in the ring game mode. So I kind of just like wrote down sort of like just a basic tier of what the ranks would be like. And of course you'd have bronze, you got your silver rank, you got gold, plat, diamond, master, and then I put in squiggly lines grandmaster, because maybe somebody wants to be grandmaster in Destiny 2 PvP. You never know, but so the reason why I want to bring up the ranks, because it's kind of an important system when it comes to ranked in general. I know. So it seems simple, but it gets missed a lot because currently, currently in comp, you kind of just sit there. Like there's not really, you don't feel like you've achieved anything when you're playing the game. And that's part of like the incentive part, which is what I'm going to go into next. But they're kind of the ranking and the rewards and incentive kind of go hand in hand. So it's like it's all connected. It's like a circle. It's all connected. But one of the important things about like just having rankings in a system that's not the current ranking system that we have. Because right as of right now, right, you gain glory and then you level up through the thing. So you go from heroic, not heroic. You go from guardian to brave to heroic to, I think after heroic is fabled and mystic, and of course there's like different tiers between all of them. And then after mystic you hit legend, but none of that really feels, especially none of that feels like you're actually ranking up, because that system is used in all of the game modes. Like, regular crucible, you level up and you hit legend and you kind of reset, and you're like, wow, I'm back to zero, I prestiged, and you don't really get anything from it. You gotta get, like, you get one gun and you get like e-cores. You get 7 e-cores for hitting legend in freaking PvP. Or in like Gambit, you hit legend, which getting legend in Gambit is way harder than it is in Crucible, because you get the freaking the ranking or whatever, the infamy rank is so much more than it is in Crucible. So you kind of just sit there like, wow, do I want to play all this Gambit, or do I want to play all this casual Crucible in order to actually hit legend and it doesn't do anything? No, you don't. It doesn't really do anything for you. Kind of just like, wow, I hit legend again. Guess I'll get my 7 freaking E-cores. Haha, very funny. Like, it doesn't do anything. So, and when you think about it at the same time, it's similar to that in comp. Like, as you rank up or you go through the levels, yeah, you get some drops, but none of those really matter. It's like once you hit fabled, it kind of matters, but before that, you're kind of just sitting there like, wow, this is great, I'm winning. There's not really there's not really like much reward, or you're just like, cool, I hit fable, awesome. Versus, like, if you, for me personally, because I can only talk about my personal reaction, when I was solo queuing for comp last season, I hit Fable 3, and I'm like, wow, I actually feel good about hitting Fable, and I feel good about hitting Fable 2, and I feel good about hitting Fable 3, but that's it. Like, that's how I only started feeling great at that point, and even then, I wasn't really being rewarded. Versus, if you're if you're qualifying, or you're doing your qualification matches, or you actually have a proper rank and you start from the bottom, like let's say you start from bronze and you work your way to gold, like that actually makes a difference. That way, and another thing about the ranking systems is like the different tiers get more populated. Like, again, this goes with like the incentive and rewards and junk, but like once you start actually building up the tiers and like build and have a reason for people to actually play it and become more populated, there's a lot more things that you can flesh out, a lot more things that you can a lot more different mechanical stuff that can be like emphasized, and like the development team can actually be like, well, there's been a lot of like complaints, and there can be actual data of like what's really strong currently, and you can use that to actually work to fine tune the sandbox. Of course, like the sandbox itself right now is tuned, but at the point of this video, we're in halfway through season of arrivals, and as it stands right now, again, this is gonna be another tangent, but it's an important part of like the whole, to get the whole big picture. Gnawing Hunger is the most oppressive gun in the game, like, and it's because it has so many. It has 43 bullets, has high RPM, does a lot of damage, and it's just readily available. Back when Gnawing Hunger was only available in Reckoning, you really didn't have to worry about it that much. It is very rare that someone would run around with Gnawing Hunger. You had to worry about Hard Light, which got nerfed. You'd have to worry about Monte Carlo, and you have to worry about Sero's Regime. 2 guns which are manageable to fight against. Because if you could bait out someone's Sero's Regime when they're in the speed up mode, you can make them run out of bullets and you can counter them. Or if they're using the slow mode, you can just out DPS them because they shoot too slow. Or even Monte Carlo, if you step out of the auto rifle range, they can't really do that much damage to you, and you can, like, Monte Carlo and Sero's Regime can't beat a pulse rifle. specifically Outbreak. None of those guns in outside of auto rifle range beat Outbreak outright, but the Gnawing Hunger can, because Gnawing Hunger has crazy range and it can do whatever. It really can just do whatever it wants. But if we had like ranks and you can see like, well, this is the most used gun in this game mode or in this rank, maybe it should get toned down. Or if it's the most used gun in like higher ranks, and maybe it should be toned down. You can actually make targeted buffs or targeted nerfs and targeted nuffs in order to bring the game mode closer to the focal point of balance. And I understand in a game like Destiny where you should feel powerful all the time, uh, it might not be worth to nerf things, but nerfing things so that it doesn't, so that it decreases the frustration factor versus just having a billion people running around with gnawing hunger is a lot better and a lot more healthy for the game versus just, hey, guess what? Everybody gets a gnawing hunger, and if you don't got one, too bad, you just die. It's it really makes so much of a difference. Like it matters, which is why the ranks are important. If freaking gold, bronze and gold and silvers are yeah, no, bronze and silvers are mostly using gnawing hungers to get out of those ranks. You and not actually like being skill. If like you're doing 3v3 and five out of six people are running gnawing hunger, you gotta know that there's a problem. You gotta be like, well, this is like the most used gun. Maybe it needs to get nerfed. And you can actually do that because there's data to support nerfing that gun. Excuse me, I was just taking a swig of water. But that's why the rankings are important. Like, cause you can tell like what's at the top end, what seems to be underperforming, what's at the bottom end, what seems to be overperforming, and fine tune your game in order to really bring the place to a focal point of balance. And of course, there'll always be some things that are a bit overtuned, but you can clearly see what's overtuned a lot faster, especially if there's a lot more people playing this game mode because they get rewarded for playing the game mode. You kind of see where I'm going with this. So ranks are important, and one of the other things that I thought about, like in the ranking system, which will be part of reward, if like there's rank decay as well. So people who want to play and they keep playing, I would say once you get to like diamond, there shouldn't be any rank decay. But up until that point, if you're in plat, gold, or silver, you gotta get your decay on. So you gotta keep playing. So you gotta rank up, my homies. But that's really about it when it comes to rankings. I know it's like kind of like a tangent, sort of, but it all comes together. Like I said, it's like a donut. You gotta have all the different pieces in order for for you to be satisfied with your donut. You don't want to have half a donut. Yo, okay, so we're back. So the last part of this, which is probably gonna be the longest part, and honestly the most important part, is going to be the rewards slash incentive for like actually wanting to play the game. So first thing I want to say is for ranked slash comp, the first thing that needs to be done is you gotta change the reward system. So first thing I would like to see change is it has to have its own like its own armor system. So you figure kind of like Trials has its own armor, like ranked, casual, ranked, and Trials. Those three game modes should have three separate armor systems now, or armor drop sets. So it's because kind of when you're playing through comp now, you're kind of just getting the same armor you've been getting for like the past 2 years essentially, and it's very tiring. There's no really like, wow, I can't wait to get new armor, and plus none of that armor is actually that good. But hey, I got armor again. So changing the system so that it has its own armor to drop from it would actually give you incentive to keep playing, because if there's a badge or collections tab for it, you can start grinding out. And not even armor, you can have its own set of weapons as well, but I'll focus on the armor specifically for right now. So you have your own armor set, like you have your own helmet, chest piece, what is it? Whatever your bond, your class bond is, legs, shoes, gloves, and you can't really say that it's not possible because every season there's a new Iron Banner armor, whether it's refitted, redone. There's still new armor that you can freaking get for Iron Banner every season. So it's not like it's impossible for Bungie to be like, hey, you know what I mean? Here's new armor every season. You know what? You got to grind out ranks so you can get all the armor or have a chance to get drops at it, and you can just make it so that like every time you win a game, you have a chance to get armor. It's not going to be guaranteed, of course. It's like RNG at the end of the day, but you can still get armor drops from your rank games. And one of the other thing, even if they don't do armor drops, they can do ornaments. Like a billion different ornaments that come out every season for guns and for armor. If they want to keep uh, a main PvP armor set, but drop armor specific or drop rank specific ornaments, like so. And this is another topic that I want to talk about. If they scrap Iron Banner, which they really should scrap that because that game mode is garbage, and I don't care what anyone says, it is trash. But if they scrap Iron Banner and then make ranked like Lord Saladin runs the rank system, yo, you can have a bunch of the old Iron Banner like ornaments from year one that you can't get anymore as a drop in that game mode. Like you can get some of because as of right now, I only have like one piece of armor, and if you've started in year 2 in Forsaken or even year 3 in Shadowkeep, there is no way you'd ever see those armor sets ever. You would never see those armor sets. So, like again, you can bring that back. You can bring. There's all types of rewards you can have in this game mode that actually make it viable. Another thing that you can do, I would say when it comes to like ranking systems, like a reason you'd want to rank and like maintain your rank is if you get to gold, what they should do is all of that armor should stop dropping at like 70 plus armor. Like they drop at minimum 70 armor stats or higher. Cause then there's a reason to grind it. There's a reason to grind rank for a chance to get armor, like good armor. You know how hard it is to find a good piece of armor in just like prime Ingrams. Even right now, when you have the opportunity to get specific Ingrams in order to get higher statted armor, it doesn't even look like it does anything. Most of my armor that I've got high statted is come from raids. It's come from I got lucky on a prime Ingram, or like it's just a random RNG drop. If there's a game mode that, and even Iron Banner has a chance. It is a lot of my high statted armor is from Iron Banner, and there is only a chance that you get some. I don't know what they did to the stats, but it's like it's so hard to get high statted armor, which is why if you have a game mode like rank, you hit gold and you keep playing, you have a chance to get higher statted armor. I would say anywhere from 70 to 80 armor stats would be fine. And that's reasonable for the amount of time that you're going to be playing in order to rank up, in order to win games, in order to get to the next division, win games in order to like just do anything. Like you should get rewarded for playing the game. For realsies, like no cap, no bap. For realsies. Man, and it doesn't make sense not to have a game mode that is competitive, but if you don't have a lot of times if you don't have any stat maxed out, you're at a super disadvantage. Personally, I run Devour in PvP. I run Devour in anything because, well, first of all, Devour's broken, but secondly, I get health regen. Like when I have 100 recovery and 100 discipline, so I always have grenades. I always have recovery. But if you don't have that, you're at a tactical disadvantage. But giving people who play the game more opportunity to get their stats up, more opportunity to like actually be able to fight against the big dogs and have a chance, you can, even if the stats might not seem like it really does make a difference for how you play the video game. Honestly. So right, system 1, have higher statted armor. Just have higher statted armor, and if you don't want to make an armor set specifically for ranked, you can have rank ornaments. Like, and this is the other part about the rank ornaments that I wanted to talk about with the guns. Like at the end of the season, after you've completed your season and you got your final rank for that season, have a seasonal ornament for your armor. Like it's they do again. They make ornaments for literally everything. There's ornaments in the season pass. There's ornaments in the shop. There's an ornament that you can buy for every almost any exotic that you want in the store. Why not have an incentive like every season, one weapon. Again, this is another thing that they can do. They can have their own weapon set for ranked. You know, like how Trials has its own weapon set and how casual regular Crucible has its own armor set. You can do that for ranked. You can have a an ornament for a piece of armor or an ornament for a gun. It'd probably be better if it was on a gun because you can have the gun show your rank, like it glows the color that you have, and then you can go to the Eververse store if you want to like upgrade it to make sure that it gets more glowy with like bright dust or silver if you want. Like those kind of it's the small things that make the game even better. Like honestly, it's really the attention to detail that improves even if it's just cosmetic. That kind of stuff severely improves the state and why you'd want to play the game, like why you'd want to play ranked. If you feel like you're getting good guns, which I just talk about that now while we're on the topic. Having your own set of guns for ranked that have PvP mods on them, like just specifically PvP mods, and as you go higher up in the tiers, you have more of a chance of getting the better stat rolls, like better statted weapons to drop or better statted armors to drop. Like, so if you're sitting there and you're like, wow, all right, I'm finna play some ranked right now. You know, I got me a Fool's Remedy, for an example. If they changed the theme to rank to be an Iron Banner esque, Fool's Remedy would be in there. Now, one of the best perks on Fool's Remedy is Kill Clip. One of the best perks on Fool's Remedy is freaking Ricochet rounds or even Iron Grip. You can start if you're high enough in the rank, like if you're like gold 1 or something, you should have the opportunity to have those type of drops drop more often for you because that is like a tier 1 type of perk. Like if they perked it through tiers and the drops that you get from your matches depend on like what rank you are, and of course you will always have the chance to get one of the superior perks. But as you rank up through the system, you have more chances of getting better perks. Like it's to me it sounds simple because it's like my idea, but as you progress you get stronger. That's why we play ranked. That's why we feel like we're getting better. As we play the game we feel like we're getting better, we're getting stronger. That would be perfect for the game, and even have ornaments for those guns to be like, hey, I grinded out for this like god roll freaking um hand cannon that I got from my rank match, and look at the perks on it, and now it has an ornament on it, and now it just freaking glows. I don't know, teal because I made it to diamond because that's how much I love this game, and that's how much rank I played. Like that would be, and you roll up into the tower, and the guardians be like, "Oh word, yo, I can see that hand cannon on your head. Where you get that, cuz?" And he's like, "You know what I mean? You know, I just started playing ranked. You know what I mean? I'm real good at it. I was in Diamond Forge. You know what I mean, man? And now look at this. I'm shining, glistening, got all this drip on me." And people are just like, "All right, maybe I got to go play some." Like, populate, you populate the pool. Then you can balance again, back to the other incentive, you can balance things so that it actually makes sense to play. Like all of that comes together. All of that's all important parts of like the game mode. Like really, it's really about having the incentive to have people play the game. Have people play the game, like they don't feel like they can cheese it out. And another thing is like they definitely need to work on their anti cheat system because the one we have now, there's like a bajillion cheaters, and as much as I love you, Bungie, that Trials is filled with sweats and cheaters. Not that I care about the sweats, it's just the cheater part that makes the game mode not fun. So you gotta get on that, homie. But anyway, that's an important part. Like having armor that you feel like you worked for, that you earned because you're better than everyone else. It well not I wouldn't say better than anyone else, but because you grinded and actually worked with your team or actually, made it out of a garbage tier division, you get rewarded for that. That's the type of stuff that needs to be in the game. Like even for people who don't play PvP, like if they feel like they get a group and they can like that they actually want to sit down and play ranked with and they feel rewarded to play ranked, they'll want to play more of it. And the more people that you have populated in the game mode, the more games you get, the more you can balance the game. You can kind of see what direction you want to go for every game. And it's just it would make the just game mode it would make the game mode a lot better. I'm telling you, just believe me on that one. Like it's not just about being like, hey, there's one ritual gun that you can get, and once you hit Fabled, you're kind of just done. No, have people want to play your game mode because they get rewarded for playing the game. That's really the most important part. Like of course like the game mode part, of course the ranking system part is important, but all of it is important. And one of the also also very important. You gotta have like a minimum like just like overall cap, so you can't just run around with. Of course, a lot of the guns are getting sunsetted, but you'll still be able to use them in Crucible, even though they won't get any stronger. Just having like a minimum power level cap of like what guns you will be able to bring into an actual rank game, like your overall, like every piece of equipment that you have to have. It has to be base 1061, so you can't just run around with Recluse or run around with freaking Lunatal or run around with Revoker, because and you actually have to think about what armor sets you want to use, or like well when it comes to different game modes, like what is it that you want to use in order to persevere in the game. Like it's all important. It is all very important, but that's really just it. Honestly, if there was ranked, I would play that all the time. Honestly, playing with the homies, playing by myself, but you gotta make it rewarding. You gotta. It's just the important part is you have to make it rewarding more than it already is now. Like, because there's no reason to play it other than the guns. But if they really made it fun, really made it, change the game mode, change the freaking reward system, just rework the whole thing in general, ranked in Destiny 2 would be a phenomenal idea and a great idea, and it'll have another game mode that's just as populated. And if you really wanted to sweat, you can go do that if you don't want to play Trials or something. Like it's something for literally everybody. So we're gonna end this video off here. Let me know what you think of some of my ideas. Like maybe you think it's a bad idea, maybe there shouldn't be. Who knows? Just check it out. Let me know what is up. It is open to discussion. Literally anybody. It is open to discussion. So if you have your own ideas, throw it into the comment section. I'll read them. We can talk about it. We can do all kinds of things. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch all of you guys later. Deuces.